Hi! Today's video is about my top 5 series that I've started and I really want to finish. So hopefully I'm going to try my best to prioritise these series in 2021. They are in no particular order at all. And first I'm going to tell you about The Illuminae Files by J. Christoph and Amy Kaufman. This is set in space in 2575. And we've got two young people, Katie and Ezra. Now, I read Illuminae back in 2019, which doesn't seem so long ago. But when you read a couple of hundred books every year, it's kind of gone out of my head. So I ended up having to read on Goodreads the synopsis just to jog my memory a bit. And there were parts of it that I have no memory of at all, despite absolutely loving this book and giving it 5 stars. So I'm thinking I'll probably need to go back and reread Illuminae before I carry on with the rest of the series. So in Illuminae, these two young people, from my really shoddy memory, I think they're on separate spaceships, and there is an actual full-on war breaks out between two companies that are fighting over this same small planet. And Katie and Ezra get caught up in this war. They've got bullets raining down on them. There's a plague that breaks out amongst the people on the ship and it's mutating people, I think. And then the bit that I do remember that really sticks out was the AI that is kind of controlling the ship that Katie is on. And she ends up finding that she's like the only person who can sort of fix things and stop the ship from like exploding. And so she's working with the AI, but then it turns out it's a bit evil. And it was just absolutely so much fun. And the whole book is mixed media formats. So we get interviews and there's emails and transcripts of things, and then you've got the AI. I just remember on my Kindle these like weird wavy lines of text where the AI is talking, and then they get crazier and crazier and the words are like all over the place as the AI is losing like control of himself, kind of thing. And it is a series that lots and lots of people absolutely adore, and I really did love it and just never got around to finishing it despite having all the intentions of doing. So that is one of the ones I'm going to prioritise. And the second one is The Hatching by Ezekiel Boone. The first book, The Hatching, that was one of my most anticipated books of this year. I spotted it in Waterstones, read the synopsis and was like, yep, I gotta read this book no matter what. It's, if you've ever watched the film from, it's either the 80s or early 90s, Arachnophobia, it's kind of like an updated version of that, and then also spread across the world. So in the rainforest of Peru, something like that, an American tourist is completely devoured by spiders, and then roughly the same time there's news of an unexplained plane crash in America, and the FBI agent who is investigating discovers something very unusual, which is that the people on the plane have been devoured. And then there's, at the same time roughly, there is a big earthquake in India, and then in China the Chinese government accidentally drop a nuclear bomb on a part of their country, and it suddenly starts to become apparent that all these events are linked. And when people are accessing CCTV footage in different countries, they do find out that these spiders have managed to get all around the world, and there's just scenes of people fleeing down streets with all this big like swarm of spiders running after them, and anyone they catch up to just gets completely devoured, like down to the bone. And it's a really good like creature feature type horror thing. I just absolutely loved it. For me, that is more horror than ghost stories, because I think that's more likely to happen. Like the, oh, spiders and crawling on you and, oh. Anyway, it's a fantastic series. I really, 5 stars. I love this book. And I don't even know why I've never got around to finishing the rest of the series. But I am definitely going to be prioritising this one. Next on my list is the Greenfield series by Adrienne Lecter. Now, in case you haven't noticed, or you've just pretended to not notice, that I read a ton of zombie books. I absolutely love them. But if anyone ever asks me which is my favourite zombie series of all time, or which I would recommend to anybody, it's this series. It is fantastic. I started reading this back in 2018, and the only reason I stopped was because I got to the, like, I kind of caught up to where the author was up to in publishing. I think there's now 12 books, and I'm sure I read up to number 9. And then, like I said, the next one wasn't available yet, and then I've kind of gone off and just forgot to go back and finish the series. But it is amazing. So basically we've got a scientist called Dr. Brianna Lewis, Brie, and she works in this lab for a biotech company. One day, a group of terrorists attack the lab. They blow up the entrances, they take staff hostage, and Brianna is caught up in this. And it soon turns out that they're not the normal kind of terrorists. They're not they're not looking to steal things or get ransom money or anything like that. They're actually looking for a particular bioweapon that's been developed by that lab. And they want to destroy it, because this virus, if it gets out, it could potentially kill millions and millions or even billions of people across the world. So that's what they're trying to do, these terrorists. However, it turns out that this virus has already gotten out somehow, and there's reports of people becoming unwell and then very quickly becoming quite violent already. And so the world just goes to shit, and Brianna ends up going on the run with these terrorists, and from there it turns into a complete zombie apocalypse. And it's just such a good series because Brianna is such a kick-ass female main character. You know, she's clever, she is strong, she's quick to learn, and you know, she didn't take no messing about. She's just a fantastic female role model, and it's great to see that she's the main character, or one of the main characters, in a post-apoc book where quite often it's a man, or you know, it's somebody in the military, and this is just a scientist, you know, self-confessed geek, and it's just a fantastic series. It does end up being, if you watch The Walking Dead, how that kind of developed into more about gang rivalry than the zombies, this series kind of goes down that road a little bit. We do still get zombies, obviously, but there is a lot of, like, I guess, politics, gang rivalry, things like that, but it's fantastic. And then going down a completely different path altogether, leaving the dark, gruesome stuff behind, and moving on to the Shopaholic series by Sophie Kinsella. This series, we start with Confessions of a Shopaholic, and we follow Becky Bloomwood, who is a self-confessed shopaholic, and she's kind of a hot mess at times. This series follows her meeting a man that she hopes to marry. She gets herself in all kinds of weird and wonderful, like, chaotic messes, and she manages to figure a way out, and there's always shopping involved somewhere, and it's just a really fun, cute, light-hearted series. And I've actually, I'd finished the series thinking it was done, and then they released Shopaholic at Christmas. I think that was late last year, probably around Christmas, you know. And I've just not got around to reading it, and I have had it on my list, so-called, to be reading, and I've just never done it. But I do really want to get back into this. It's just books like that are a great palate cleanser for me from reading any heavy or any dark stuff. And with it being so much fun, I can't wait to see what random shit she gets herself into this time. And the last series that I really want to finish is the Nevermore series by Jessica Townsend. So the first book I read, it was this year. I feel like it wasn't very long ago. And it's The Trials of Morrigan Crow. So Morrigan is a young girl who, because of the day that she was born, people said that she's cursed. And everything that goes wrong in her village, and I mean anything, like somebody's cake doesn't turn out quite right, it's Morrigan's fault because she looked at that person at some point in the last year or something. Or like, you know, somebody's car breaks down and it's Morrigan's fault because she waved at the driver 3 weeks ago, and it's crazy. And also she's doomed to die on midnight of her 11th birthday, and her family just aren't very loving towards Morrigan. And she's kind of not comforted about the fact that she's going to die on a birthday. Like, they kind of just like, oh yeah, get on with it. However, she is fantastically rescued from this by Jupiter North. He sweeps in, rescues Morrigan and takes her off to a magical world that she didn't even know existed. And she ends up doing these trials to gain a place in the prestigious Wondrous Society. And the trials are all like really dangerous and difficult tasks, and she's competing against other magical children who've all got these crazy special talents. Morrigan doesn't seem to have a talent really, and she's not quite sure what she's doing in this world, contending for this place. But it's such a good series. I don't know why I never got around to reading it before. Everybody kept talking about it. I've seen it on loads of places. Especially for people who really enjoyed Harry Potter and then was looking for something kind of similar. And so I did. Earlier this year I got around to reading the first book, and then I actually even bought the 2 books that were out at the time. I bought them at the same time and then never read the second one. And now the third one is out and I'm like, oh, I just need to keep going. So yeah, I'm gonna definitely get onto that soon, she says. I'll probably be doing this exact same video at the end of 2021 going, these are series I started. But you never know, maybe this video and like kind of putting myself, I don't know, like out there and getting some public accountability might help me to get around to finishing these series, just so that I don't have to repeat it next year. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you all soon. Bye.